Hey guys, so I'm sure you see the title of the video, but today we're going to be reacting to the new TFT set 18 Enchanted Wilds. Normally there's like a Mortdog video that goes along with this, but there's not one of those anymore, so we're just gonna be scrolling through tactics.tools and taking a look at all the units. Uh, so just take a look here. So basically, the new set mechanic is just a return from one of the old ones. It's called Wisp, but it's just charms from set 12. Um, they appear in the rightmost shop slot, and players can purchase one Wisp per round. And after purchasing one, you won't see one for the rest of the round. But there's going to be some traits that interact with it more than set 12 did, where basically that one was only the Zareth one. The Zareth trait that actually interacted with charms. Oh, they're going to be color coded now. So champion, combat, gold EXP, item, miscellaneous, risky, and shop. So probably taking a core part from Space Gods. Risky will probably be stuff like Evelyn, where you lose HP, or it's like random chance. Misk will probably be random chance like Thresh. Shop will probably be like the Varus ones, where like it changes your next shop, so it's like your next shop contains all three costs or something like that. Combat's pretty self-explanatory. Champion's pretty self-explanatory. Gold EXP, kind of like Ari. Item, kind of like Kale, you know. Wisp appear in every other shop. After stage 5, every other Wisp will be from the combat category. Okay. I don't remember if that change was in set 12 or not. But I do remember that as you go on later in the game, you do like the combat charms came up more often. Stronger wisp appear as the game progresses. Many wisps have special conditions in order to be offered. For example, Hand of Baron requires the Rift Beast trait to be active. Well, maybe take a look at that. Let's start off with the units. So one cost, a Kali, Inferno, Adapter, Ravager, 3 trait for one cost. Those ones are usually okay early. She's a melee unit. 30 mana. Adapter, throw a volley of kunai at the target, dealing X damage. If the target is burning, deal X damage. Okay. If the ability kills, cast again. So I assume adapter. Okay, I do get to see the traits. So adapter changes based on if they're 80 or AP's higher. Okay, that'll be interesting. So this is a very like strong flex unit early. Moving on, Camille. Defensive sweep. Slice the target for X physical damage and gain a shield. Okay, you know, just standard one cost stuff. Cinderling. This is like the small guys in the red buff on Summoner's Rift. Summon Razors. Uh, Converge. Holy, I can't read. On the current target, dealing a total of X physical damage and applying burn and wound. Okay. Scarlet buff. Cinderling gains damage. So I assume Scarlet buff. Ah, okay. It's part of Rift Beast, where you can use the Alpha mark to grant a Rift Beast their unique buff. So it's kind of like Nova. Um, Also a 1 hex. Okay. Karma. Here's our first range unit. Tether with the current unit, dealing X magic damage over seconds, then dealing a burst around them, dealing X to all enemies in a radius and slowing them. Okay. There's a lot of util on these low cost units. Like Akali has Inferno, which looks like it burns, and then the Cinderling comes with burn, and now Karma has like attack speed slow. So that's pretty neat. Hobuko, our first tank, I assume. These all look like melee damage units. Restore health, and then the bash. So that's kind of like the just the set 11 Kobuko where he just danced. That's cool. Leona, another tank. Start combat with bonus X armor and magic resist that decays over health. By the way, the tank traits: brawler, HP, defender, armor, MR. These are pretty self-explanatory. They appear in every set. Not every set, but it's usually always one HP one, and then one armor MR one, and then usually one shield one, which is which looks like Vanguard here. Yeah. Oh, and Juggernaut here, which is that one's usually the damage reduction one. That's interesting. Leona, start combat with armor MR that decays over X seconds. Okay. It scales with, is that AP? That's actually kind of interesting. Um, bash the current target and stunning them. Okay, so just one cost Leona, except now she has a passive. Probably some sort of reroll lines, I'm assuming, with let's see. And deal bonus damage, gain it, yeah, for bonus 3-star. Yeah. You usually put this type of passive on a reroll comp. So we solar looks like our reroll trait for the set. I'll go over all the traits later, but I'll hover over them if I think there's something interesting to read, or if they're necessary for the ability. Orn, he is green this set. That's kind of neat. Like they redid the textures so that on the skin so that it's actually like naturey instead of just green Orn. But it is just a recolor of the classic skin, so kind of interesting what they do in TFT. Bellow's Breath, gain a shield, and then deal X damage to enemies in a cone. Okay, so that's just the same as his current live one. Quest, okay. Each player combat, Orn stores damage blocked as Forge Power, doubled at 3-star. Gain an artifact anvil for the first time Forge Power reaches X. Oh, that's okay. An artifact anvil is really strong. I'm gonna assume it's balanced in a way so that you don't get the artifact until I'm gonna say 4-2. Like it'll kind of have like standardized scaling, so like you'll get it around 4-2 even if you 3-star Orn really early. Same thing with that they kind of did with the Viego souls in set 16. Oops. Um, just so that like Orn doesn't just scale completely out of control early, and then I assume it's just not very reachable with just like a 2-star Orn. Like you'd get it probably like stage 6. I'm assuming is how this is balanced. But yeah, that's interesting. Another one cost reroll tank, and he's also a defender, so it kind of goes along with Leona in whatever reroll comp will appear out of these two. And I'm assuming that this Elderwood trade will probably be splashable in some way. Like once you start leveling. So it's probably Leona, Orn, and then some Elderwoods. There's probably another solar carry. I don't know. Let's not do too much theory crafting. We have a lot of units to go through. Pebbles, Rift Beast Invoker, or Hex. Azure Laser. Begin consuming X mana per second and channeling a laser each second while casting. Okay, so it's just okay, it does shred. That's kind of cool. But it's pretty much just Azel's unmech cast from this set. The teal buff. So this is if you use the Rift Beast item over it. Gain X mana regen for every X second channeled. So I assume you can still gain mana while you're channeling. I don't actually know how this works because mana regen is kind of weird to put on like those conduit type units, even though the whole trait is mana regen, because they burn mana while they use their ability. I don't actually know. I assume this just increases the duration of the ability. It's gotta. It doesn't. This doesn't seem very good. Rakan, Entrancing Dance, Fey, Juggernaut, Vanguard. These are two tank traits is actually pretty important. It means Rakan's very splashable in your early game boards. Gain X shield for seconds, then grant the ally who has dealt the most damage this combat attack speed for seconds. Okay, so there's no CC. He's probably just like a strong early game unit. Granting attack speed probably means you want to play him with an AD opener, so that's kind of neat. We're almost done with the one cost here, so this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 one costs. I don't know. I believe 13 one cost was the standard before. Um, and then last set they introduced 14, and then of course set 16 had a lot as well. Um, actually, no, there were no one cost unlocks, right? Yeah, there were no one cost unlocks, so I think it was the same number. But maybe 14 is going to be the standard going forward. I don't know. Varus, Eldritch Brawler, Uproot, restore X health after each cast, tripled, or each second, rather. Lunge out of the ground, stunning adjacent enemies. Okay, so pretty much just a reprint of the live Rek'Thai. Nothing to talk about here. Maybe Eldritch is an interesting trait, but we'll go for the traits altogether later. Varus, Inferno, Rapid Fire, 4 Hex. Wind up, then fire an arrow. It deals damage, reduced by X% for each enemy it passes through. Okay, so this will be your early game caster. Moving on. Vagar, Eldritch, Spriken, and Spellweaver, Primordial Burst. Launch a giant blast at the target that deals X magic damage, increase. If they die permanently, gain X ability power. Okay, standard Vagar stuff, just gains damage. It has an execute. Seems pretty good. I'm assuming either Eldritch or Spriken, one of these two is a reroll trait. So looks like all the one costs are pretty strong so far. Like there's like a lot of reroll potential for them. It's always neat. Zaya, Elderwood, Fey, Rapid Fire. So remember Rakan is also a Fey, so I assume there's some sort of synergy there. It's probably a 2 trait. Gain attack speed. These attacks are replaced by feathers that deal damage. Okay, so she's your early game attack speed carry. And then York, Blossom, Juggernaut, Summoner. Summoner's interesting. It's our first summoner we've seen. I guess there's going to be a lot of summoning minions this set, which I'm always a big fan of. On death, spawn a Spirit Walker with X max HP. Okay, interesting. I don't know if the Spirit Walker is just like a Yorick ghost or if it's just like a ghoul. If it's a ghost, maybe it still benefits from traits, so it'd be kind of good. But if it's just like a minion, which would probably make sense for Summoner, it probably doesn't benefit from traits, so Yorick's not that strong early. And then the active's not that strong. It does cost a lot of mana. I don't know what to think of this Yorick unit. I don't think there's going to be any reroll with him unless Blossom. So we know from earlier that Blossom is going to be um related to charms. Sorry, to Wisp, and maybe there's something there for reroll because when you're rerolling, you see more charm or you see more Wisp. I got to get used to calling them Wisp. You see more Wisp than you would just playing Fast 8. That's all the one cost units. We'll move on to 2 costs. Alistar, Alderwood, Brawler, Triumphant Roar, restoring health, cleansing, disables, and healing the lowest 2% allies. Then slam the current target, dealing X damage and stunning them. Okay, pretty good spell. 90 mana, seems reasonable. Caitlyn, I believe this is our our first specialist unit. She doesn't have a mana cost. Every third attack is replaced with a headshot that deals physical damage. Okay, so similar to the Fate Weaver Caitlyn that we have on live right now, except now it's more standardized. She doesn't have rapid fire, which is usually the attack speed trait. Hunter, I'm assuming, is just some sort of percent execute. Let's just take a look at that. Gains AD, having swap targets, they gain damage amp. Okay, cool. So yeah, just your standard early game Ginsu holder. Nothing much to say about Caitlyn. Elise Coven Vanguard. Oh, okay. She's 4 hex, but she's a Vanguard. Let's see what she does. Spider Queen, transform into a spider and gain max health. Attacks while in spider form, deal damage and heal. Subsequent casts grant attack speed. Okay. I'm pretty sure we've had some variation of this Elise before. I just can't think of any. Shapeshifter Elise, probably from set 12. Was probably something similar to this. I don't remember if she casted more after she transformed, but she also started it at 1 hex though. So it's kind of interesting that this one starts at 4 hex. You'll probably just play her melee anyways, because she's a Vanguard. Like you want to use that Vanguard shield. But maybe there's some hero augment with her. I don't know. We'll see that later. Gromp. I've never seen the art for Gromp this up close. That's kind of weird. Um, Fletchy Bubble? Fletchy Bubble? Uh, 4 hex. He's also an adapter. Launch a Noxus Bubble at the current target that explodes on the first enemy hit, dealing damage. Enemies within a 1 hex radius take magic damage. An adapter heavily slows the target. So it becomes single target, I'm assuming. If you do AD, and then it's an AoE thing if you do AP. The AP does seem better. Like there's a reason the AP is or the AD version is 1 line and has no scaling. Purple buff every so often. Gronk gains ability power. Yeah. Sorry, excuse me. You do want Gronk to be AP. Kale, 2 costs, solar, rapid fire. Okay. Solar Judgment. Kale ascends based on her star level, granting her bonus stacking bonuses. Okay, so this is like the set 9 and set 15 Kale, Kale Coliseum, where she kind of just levels. Oh, there is a 4-star upgrade. Okay, that's good for her. But yeah, deals magic damage, shred, and then fire waves at 3-star. So standard 3-star reroll unit. Gains a shield and deals bonus magic damage with solar. So this is probably your carry. Nothing much to say about Kale. Cool unit. If you hit her off worth the weight too, this becomes pretty probably like a condition you can play for. So that'll be neat. LeBlanc. Alderwood Spellweaver. Mirror image. After player combat, your strongest LeBlanc has a chance to create a copy of an ally on your board, increased by X per takedown. Okay. Active, launch a mirror image at the current target, dealing damage and damage to adjacent enemies. Okay. To create to create a copy of an ally on your board. Okay. Um I don't know how to feel about that. Like, it sounds like you want to play her as part of a reroll line. But it's weird. I guess Elderwood would be your play. Is Elderwood a 3 trait? Let's check that. It is, right? Yeah. So you want to play her with Ornn, I guess? Uh I don't know. It doesn't seem very good. We'll see. I'm not too high on that. Merkwolf, Rift Beast Ravager, Claws, leap at the lowest health enemy within X hexes. Usually this is only like 2 or 3 hexes, kind of like Briar from set 16, just so you're not um, diving backline immediately. And deal full bonus physical damage. Next attack deals more physical damage. Gray buff, grant precision and critical strike chance. Increased up to X on bonus missing health. Okay. So just an early game melee unit. Nothing to write home about. Probably not a reroll line. But we'll see. Scuttle Crab, Rift Beast Juggernaut. Can you dig it? 40 out of 100 mana. Passives are replaced by a dance that deals uh, physical damage to adjacent enemies. Okay, cool. Active Burrow Underground, gaining durability, and then healing. Okay, so just the Rek'Sai from Live, where you just kind of you burrow and you heal. Um, but you don't knock them up, so it's just kind of like a Leona shield, I guess. Green buff, when allies fall below health, they restore max health. Okay, so just kind of a second wind effect, kind of like Maokai from the live set. It's neat. Sujuani, remember solar is our reroll trait. I probably mentioned that enough times to make you guys sick over this so far. Sun's Wrath, gain a shield, and then cleave in a cone, strike, dealing magic damage. Pretty standard unit, no CC, just a big tank. Moving on. Shen, Inferno, Defender. Grant a shield to Shen and nearby allies. Both their next attacks gain attack speed and deal bonus magic damage. Okay, so that will be interesting. Maybe you play him with melee? Because what immediately jumps to mind is, of course, you play him with Kale. But I don't know how much range, because it says nearby ally and oh, sorry, a nearby ally, nearby damaged ally. Okay, okay. I'm reading for the first time. So yeah, I guess you just play him with like melee units, probably the Merkwolf. Play with another defender, a Ravager. I don't know. Just to figure out the traits altogether. Teemo, Spriken, 4 hex. Throw 2 clusters of mushrooms that deal magic damage to the nearest enemies, then hurl a giant mushroom that deals magic damage to the target. Each cast has a chance to forge an extra mushroom that can be collected for bonus effects. Oh, okay. So if you're early game AP, you definitely want to play into Teemo because he can just grant you stuff outside of combat. If you open a lot of mana items, I assume. Uh, increased magic mana regen for Invoker. That's usually what it is. I don't. It's kind of weird because some sets Invoker units really like mana and then some sets they don't. I'm gonna assume Teemo really likes mana here. And you just want him casting as much as possible just so you can get more chance of those mushrooms. Okay, neat. Warwick, Jaw of the Beast. Fight the current target, dealing damage, and heal for uh, an amount, and then just gain attack speed for the rest of combat. So he's kind of like a scaling, like scaling during the fight. Um, Melee unit, which is kind of interesting. So probably like Titan BT kind of unit. Yunara, our last two costs. Blossom Executioner. This is our first Executioner, I believe. Cultivation of Spirit. Dash, then launch an orb at the current target. Deals damage and splits. Dealing physical damage to nearby enemies. I don't know what to think of this. Yunara is usually like an attack speed champion, both in League and in set 16 when she was in the set. She's like an attack speed based character. This reads kind of like a caster situation. So I guess this can be your early game caster that you hold items on. Executioners usually have inherent crit. Let's just check that. Yep. Precision and critical strike chance. So that'll be interesting. Probably a weird hold because none of the one costs were executioners. But we'll see. Moving on to the three costs. Let's start with Azir, who's an Eldritch Executioner and our second summoner. Um, for Hex, Arise, gain attack speed, and summon a soldier. These attacks are replaced by commands which direct each soldier dealing X magic damage per attack. Okay. So same thing as the Strategist Azir from set 9, and then the 5 cost Azir from set 16. Just your usual stuff. Him having Executioner is kind of weird to me. Because usually this kind of unit benefits from attack speed, and then crit's not that great. But I assume that they do scale with crit, unlike like well, you still wouldn't want JG. You would want a guard breaker on him. Um, Compared to set 16 Azir, which you didn't really want guard breaker on him, or you didn't really want spell crit on him. In fact, you didn't really want any items on him in general. So it's interesting that they're tackling this unit again and seeing if they can make him a 3 cost carry. Because he's been a 4 cost carry, he's been a 5 cost trait bot, which is serviceable as a carry. Not really. But we'll see how a 3 cost version of him does. Cassiopeia, Spellweaver, Coven, Noxious Blast, poison the target and nearby non-poisoned enemies, dealing X magic damage over X seconds. Poison stacks. Okay. I assume Coven is like. Oh, let's just read it. Grant essence plus more by losing player combats. Oh, okay. So that's our loose streak trait. So yeah. Cassio's just our loose streak unit. This will be an important hold. Same thing with Elise and Caitlyn. And there was one more one cost Coven, right? And Camille. Okay, so there's actually a lot of chances for you to hold those one cost units or hold the Coven early. Okay, Diana. Looks like she has a unique trait, Lunar. Let's go read that. It is not a unique trait. I have lied to you, but that's our first Lunar unit. We'll read that later. Hail Barrier. Gain a shield and send out a Moonlight Orb to the closest enemies, dealing magic damage. Okay, cool. Just seems like a 3 cost tank. She has Ravager as well, which probably means you can build her more bruisery, but probably will be uh, towards the tank. Leaning towards the tank. Fiddlesticks, Floral Fatalis. Okay, that has to be a unique trait. Nope, there's a 2 trait for this. What is going on? I can hover over these as well. Reduce magic damage. Or sorry, reduce magic resist. Then drain life and healing, and then dealing damage over the duration. Okay. It's a 2 hex unit. It's a little bit weird. Um, I'm sure there will be something with Fiddle early. Not early on, but there will be something with Fiddle that you can do similar to set 15. Like the techies. No, that would be set 14. Set 14 Fiddlesticks with techies. Same sort of ability, same sort of role that he plays in the game. So I'll be neat. Hecarim. Elderwood Vanguard. Spirit of the Dread, gain armor and MR, and restore health over the duration. Launch Spectral Riders at the nearest enemies, dealing X magic damage and stunning them for X seconds. Okay. Just seems like a strong early game tank. Um, doesn't seem like it's like a reroll thing to me. Probably no potential there. Yeah. I'm gonna try and breeze through these because there's a lot of units to go through, and I don't want to make 2 separate videos. So yeah. Kha'Zix, Rival. This is probably an important trait to read. Only active while fielding one rival. Rival collect takedowns and gain 3 if they take down another. Okay. So it's probably just him and Rengar, right? Yeah. It's just Kha'Zix and Rengar. This will be your kind of like Druid in set 12, just to, bring a parallel to the last time we had this set mechanic. This will be just like a 3 cost carry, dealing damage. Yeah. So Kha'Zix is AP. If they have no adjacent allies, deal magic damage instead and gain mana. So Rengar will probably be the AD version of this. Kind of cool, especially that they scale, and then as they scale, you can also have another player playing the same sort of thing, and you can both scale higher. That's pretty neat. Kog'Maw is our first caustic unit. Is he our only caustic unit? He is. Okay. Caustic units damage shred and thunder for X seconds. Okay. Riot likes introducing these, where it's just kind of like a solo unit that I can shred and thunder at the 3 cost slot. It's interesting because they don't give them traits usually. The immediate example is the Monster Tamer one from KO Coliseum, where you could play as either Kog'Maw, Smolder, or Rammus. Uh, Invoker Adapter, Kog'Maw just seems kind of splashable, so that'll be interesting. Raining Artillery, launch acid at the nearest enemies, dealing physical damage. Enemies below take more physical damage. And then if you play Kog'Maw AP, damages enemies over time instead. Okay, neat. Probably want to lean AD, but it's Invoker, so if you're transitioning items off of um, like a weaker Invoker, that can work too. The Invokers are usually AP, so AP is probably reasonable on Cog. Krug, Rift Beast Brawler, rock and roll. On death, split into 2 Kruglets, gain max health, and then roll into the target. And then if you buff your Krug, on death, Krug and Kruglets shield allies for max health, kind of like a light crest shield kind of thing. Neat. Not too much to say. The mana cost is really high. I don't know if the Kruglets will have mana as well. But yeah, just seems like a reasonable tank. Master Yi, our second unit without a mana cost. Blossom Adapter, 1 hex. Each third attack is a double strike that hits twice. On takedown, gain a burst of movement speed. Double strikes grant more attack speed, or double strikes deal bonus damage and heal. Okay, so this is interesting because if you build Ginsu, I assume Master Yi immediately becomes an adapter, or immediately becomes AP. So you probably want to keep AD items on him. Just the usual, or the same thing as the live set. Mastery, where you went Edge of Night plus Giant Slayer. Um, this is one of those units that are ripe for breaking with range artifacts. If you hit rapid fire cannon, um, honestly, just any artifacts. It doesn't have to be just range artifacts. I was gonna say sniper focus, that doesn't give range anymore. Fish bones, like this is your artifact unit. At the 3 cost slot. Ramus, defensive ball curl. Taunt, forcing enemies to attack this unit for X seconds. Gain a lot. When the shield breaks, deal physical damage based on your MR. Okay, interesting. Early game tank. If you hit this plus like solo plate, probably pretty good. So neat. Good unit. I assume the Sprikins. Yeah, if you hit like this plus Vagar and Teemo, that's kind of like your early game. That's kind of like an early game board you could be playing. Moving on. Raptor. Rift Beast Summoner Rapid Fire. Okay, interesting. That's a 1 hex, but it's rapid fire. You don't see Riot print things like that very often. Flock Friends. 40 out of 80 mana. Summon 4 untargetable tiny beaks nearby for X seconds. When raptors attack, they attack the same enemy. Okay, similar concept to like a Nefiri. Deal bonus physical damage that reduces enemy armor MR. Okay, neat. I don't know what to think of this unit. I don't know what kind of items you want to build on it. I assume it's just like a melee unit that you can build like Titans BT kind of stuff on. Uh, I don't know. This is actually really weird to me. Maybe you don't put any items on it at all. I don't know if this unit's meant to be good or not. It's just weird. Like the traits are really weird. Its ability is like I don't know if you like attack speed or not. It's just a weird unit. We'll move on. We'll see where Raptor develops in the future. Rengar. So this is the opposite to Kha'Zix. Same sort of thing. Jump to the lowest percent enemy within hex, and then dealing physical damage, and then heal. Nothing too crazy. They both leap to the furthest enemy. Sorry. Kha'Zix leaps to the furthest enemy, and then Rengar jumps to the lowest health enemy. So keep in mind those things when you position against them. Tristana, this is a very long ability, but she has Fae, Spriken, and Hunter. Attach an explosive charge to the enemy that lasts X seconds while active. Gain infinite range and attack speed after duration. The charge explodes and splits, dealing damage between all enemies within 2 hex, dealing physical damage for each cast. If an enemy with an explosive charge dies, it attaches to Tristan's new target. Wait, what? What was this? After duration, the charge explodes and splits damage, dealing physical damage. Oh, for each attack while casting. Okay. Ginsu holder. Um Actually I don't know. Because you want to get to that first cast, but you don't want to like your mana locked afterwards. Actually, no. That's actually a perfect Ginsu character. What am I saying? But probably like Ginsu IE. Uh my thought when reading this is kind of like a fishbones unit. If you can attach the thing to the back line and then you just keep railing it with like fishbone autos. Because you want the infinite range before you get to your first cast. And then once you have that range, maybe you can just snipe backline with it. Kind of interesting. I don't know if there's really a 3 cost reroll that you could do. Is there another 3 cost Spriken? Uh, Ramus, right. Yeah. Okay, so Trist, Ramus, probably something there. Vi is our first primal unit. Choose one of 4 blessings. Okay, cool. Furious Fists. On attack, restore HP. Active, unleash a primal roar, restoring X health. And gain attack, speed, durability, and immunity to crowd control. Okay. She's a Juggernaut. You can probably just put melee items on her. Titans BT. I feel like I'm mentioning Titans BT a lot, but yeah, that seems to be the theme of the melee units. Probably not Titans actually, because you gain crowd control immunity. BT Sterix is probably what you want in there. Moving on to the forecasts, these are the units that you will be using the most often or trying to win games with the most often. So, very important part here. Ari, Blossom, Spellweaver. 4 range, Spirit Bomb, 20 out of 100 mana. So we saw this in the preview. It's a return of set 4 Ari, where she launches the Spirit Bomb. It takes a long time to channel. She casts, deals a ton of damage. Pretty standard stuff. I'm assuming Spellweaver is just giving her AP. Yeah, just grant her AP plus more AP whenever another Spellweaver casts. Pretty sure you just want to do the standard, JJ Nasher on this character. Amumu, moving on. Inferno Juggernaut, so this is the tank for those units. Tantrum, 30 out of 140 mana. Every second, restore X health, and then dealing magic damage to enemies within X. Okay. So it just comes with an inherent Sunfire. Of course, you don't need to build Sunfire if you're playing the Inferno trait, so keep that in mind. Active, deal magic damage to enemies, and then stunning them, increased if the target is burning. Okay. It looks like Amumu's our CC tank, so this unit will be insanely contested. Because of Inferno and because of Juggernaut, and because of the CC effect. This will probably be your splash tank. If you're playing like a flex board, it'll be your fast 9 board. If there's an Inferno board, it will be part of that as well. Let's take a preview. Okay, there's no forecast. There's no other forecast Inferno. But yeah, this will be the most contested unit this set, and everybody will complain when a Mumu is out of the pool. Moving on, the Ancient Sentinel. This is the blue buff on Summoner's Rift. Azure Shockwave. Gain a shield for X seconds, slamming the ground, sending a fissure in the direction of most enemies. Enemies hit are briefly knocked up. Oh, okay, this is another CC tank. And they're mana reaved. Wow, that is pretty crazy. Cause yes, I mean, it seems like one of these has to be a smaller CC tank. I'm assuming a Mumu is a smaller CC tank, like probably like CC's the front line and the Sentinel can reach back line. Plus it mana reaves, so you can really lock up a backline unit. If you get hit with the Sentinel, you're probably positioning for the Sentinel more than you're positioning for a Mumu. Each time Sentinel is cast, allies gain mana regen. Okay, neat. Don't know how good that is, but it'll be that plus Invoker. You kind of have something going with like an AP line. Moving on, Aphelios, Rapid Fire. 60 mana, equip Severum, and swipe at the target over X seconds, dealing damage. After the onslaught finishes, fire a blast that deals damage that splits among all enemies in a 2 hex radius. Okay. trying to think of what unit this reminds me of. Like gain attack speed, and then at the end of it, you burst. I guess kind of like the AP equivalent that I think of, or no, it's like Callista. Okay, there we go. Yeah, it's just kind of like a Callista type effect. Um, Trying to remember what you really wanted on those kind of units. Probably just get into. There's no execute, and it's not based on the number of attacks you do. And you're definitely mana locked after using the effect. But yeah, he's rapid fire, so you're probably just building attack speed on him anyways. We'll see. Uh, I'll take this time to read Lunar because the rest of them are 5 costs, and it's probably very important to this character's trait. Lunar champions and adjacent allies gain attack speed and ability power. Lunar champions gain more. Okay. So just kind of like a strategist thing. Seems like you're a flex unit for your 4 cost board. Flex as in the unit is flex. The units are flex. You're not really going vertical in a trait. You're just kind of going to lunar and then, to rapid fire kind of thing. And you just flex your front line after that. But yeah, if you're building Gintu early, you're probably just going into Aphelios. Moving on, the Brambleback, Rift Beast Ravager. When the target dies, leap at the next target, dealing physical damage. Okay. Gain attack damage for seconds. During this time, ignore armor. That's actually a lot. That's actually really strong. Right? And then if you buff the Brambleback with your Rift Beast, your attacks burn enemies and heals Brambleback for X max health. I don't know what to think of that. That's your 4 cost melee carry, but you ignoring armor means that you're allowed to place it in front of like big tanks. Like you're not as punished for being wrong side. Because you will just shred it. But I assume the damage isn't that high, and it's kind of just like a sustainable fighter. I assume the power of Rift Beast is in the actual Rift Beast unit. Yeah. So we'll see. I don't expect this unit to be too crazy. It'll just be kind of, oh, if the Rift Beast trace is strong, then the Brambleback will be strong. Moving on, Ezreal, Elderwood, Executioner. Nature's Wrath, blink away, dealing physical damage to them and gaining attack speed. Every fifth cast. Wow. Every fifth cast consumes the attack speed granted and fires a blast towards the target that deals physical damage, reduced by X for each enemy it passes through. Okay, so similar to set 10 Ezreal, where you did the Arcane Shift plus a Mystic Shot. I'm assuming just same sort of thing. Low mana has Executioner, so you can go Guardbreaker. This will be your AD caster carry for your stage 4 and 5 boards. Not IE. You want probably Shojin, maybe blue buff, Guardbreaker for sure, Last Whisper, like those kind of items. Shojin or blue buff. Don't do either. Don't do both. It's a little greedy. Lilia, she's back as a tank. Restore health and then send butterflies at enemies. Enemies take magic damage and sleep for X seconds. Wow. Okay, so all the tanks are CCing this set. All the 4 cost tanks are CCing, which is I'm assuming Riot's answer to the fact that CC tanks in the past have always been the contested units. So this will be interesting. If they take damage, they wake up and then deal additional max health damage. Who's the other Fey unit? If they take damage, they wake up. I mean, you're always damaging a unit. Unless there's just a lot of single target stuff, and then nearby enemies. I don't know. I don't know what I mean, it's just kind of interesting with like a sleep effect in TFT because damage is so random and there's so much of it. The thing that I'm thinking of is that maybe first comps that like have a solo tank. For example, like Rammus this set, there are certain lines where you can solo tank Rammus or solo frontline Rammus, not solo tank. You still have other tanks. You just solo frontline that unit, and then maybe Lilia hits the backline units, sleeps those, and then the sleep duration's really long, and then maybe you have like an Ari cast, like a unit that only casts once during a fight, and you just snipe the whole backline without the backline doing stuff. I don't know. That's just kind of what I think Lilia might be able to do, but otherwise it's kind of weird. But she's the 4-cost defender. Those are usually pretty good units. Armor MR is always a strong trait, or always strong stats. Very splashable, probably fine. Malphite. Eldritch Monolith. Is this our only monolith? It is. Okay, monolith gain armor MR for each enemy targeting them. Okay, so he just comes with an inherent stone plate, which makes sense. The stone plate passive is called monolith. At least on Summoner's Rift. Gains a shield and become petrified. Okay, so he literally turns into a statue. When the shield breaks, unleash. Deal damage to enemies within Hex. Okay, so Malphite's gonna be your Giga Tank. Similar to Morgana this set, after they made the change, where she became a 4-cost tank, you probably just want like Warmogs. Probably a durability thing, so like Steadfast Heart. I don't know if you want Stone Plate or not. Because you'll already be gaining armor MR from the thing. Maybe casting's really important, just so he becomes like if this spell gives like a really big shield, kind of like Dark Lady did for Morgana this set. Or, well, Dark Lady just increased her max HP, but if casting becomes really important, maybe you just want raw HP on Malphite. Interesting. I always like these like threat type of tanks. Eldritch probably won't be too important for this unit. Morgana, Coven, Invoker. Okay. 4-cost Coven. We didn't have a 4-cost Anima squad this set, so this is kind of interesting. 4 Hex, but she gains Omni Vamp. Okay. Fire a Dark Blast at nearby enemies, dealing magic damage to them, and then cursing them. Then spawn a Hex Withering Zone for the same duration that deals damage per second. Cursed enemies take more damage per curse. So you just want long fights with Morgana. I don't know what the Omni Vamp's for. She's gonna be 4 Hex. You spawn a Hex, right? Not spawn at a Hex? This is a weird unit. I don't know what to think of her. You just want long fights and a lot of casts. Sure. Strange unit. Moving on, Nidalee, Primal Adapter. So this is our second primal unit. So this is like you choose a blessing, but we don't know what the blessings are, so we're gonna kind of have to ignore that. Adapter, gain attack speed for the next attacks. These attacks are replaced by javelins that deal magic damage. The third attack targets the furthest enemy with the least items. Okay. And deals magic damage. Transform into a melee cougar that swipes enemies. Okay. Another Ginsu carry for 4 cost, but like Ginsu AP. Um, and then melee items. There's probably some comp where Nidalee's your secondary carry, and you can put melee items on her. Titan Sterix kind of thing. I don't think she'll want attack speed on the melee form. It really depends on what the primal trait is. I don't know what to think of Nidalee. Set. This is your 4 cost brawler tank. After falling below uh X HP, gain what? The first gain 100 mana. Okay. Um Maybe you solo frontline set. Wind up a really big punching for HP before dealing physical damage in a large cone. Sure. Kind of like a 4 cost set from uh, Kale Coliseum. Um, Probably one of your weaker tanks. That set wasn't very good. But you're gonna have to play him because he's Blossom along with Ari. So that'll be a thing. Like the solo frontline aspect probably makes sense because you want units to wrap set, and then that way they clump up, and then you can get a bigger Ari cast. But it'll be interesting seeing how useful he is. Like the whole Blossom and like Ari board will be based on how strong Set is. If he can make that work for you. Sivir, Primal Hunter, throw a Boomerang Blade that deals damage and then bounces, dealing physical damage. When it kills an enemy, bounce an additional time. Hunter. What is Hunter? Gain attack damage. If they haven't swapped targets, they gain damage amp. Okay. Um, I assume you want attack speed on her. I really don't know. I I can't tell if this is a it probably is just like an attack speed thing. Uh like an attack speed carry. Um Aphelios is your other attack speed carry, and Ezreal's a okay. Yeah. It can just be a secondary attack speed carry. Severed Nidalee. I guess this balances the items between them. No, that doesn't make any sense. Because if you have like AD spell crit stuff, like IE, I don't know. I don't know what to think of this unit. Kind of weird. Because with Caitlyn, you kind of think that, oh, okay, you have an early game hunter that likes attack speed. You transition it into your 4 cost one. That'd be Sivir. Or your items just go on Nidalee? No, that doesn't make any sense because Caitlyn's AD. Okay, I genuinely don't know what to think. Weird unit. Soraka, our second Flora Fatalis. So let's read what it does now. Flora Fatalis harvests enemies on takedown and gain mana. And then they grant a shield to heal the lowest ally. Okay, neat. Star Call. Call a star down to the current target, dealing damage. If a star has previously fallen on them, call down additional stars that deal bonus magic damage. Okay, so Soraka's your secondary carry. Uh, Executioner. What was Fiddle's trait? Spellweaver? Okay, I was gonna say Soraka's probably the second AP carry. but it looks like you can play her with Ari. So like Ari, Fiddle plus Soraka, you get Spellweaver, you get the Floralis. Uh, you might be able to like duo carry both of them rather than being alternate carries. So it'll be interesting. Um, Probably not much to say about this unit. I don't think she'll be very good for the whole set. Similar to the way Karma was in this set, where you're never playing her as a primary carry. You just kind of have like, secondary AP carry. Um, Probably fine. Zyra, Thorn Maiden, and Summoner. Thorn Maiden's probably a unique trait. Let's check. Your team gains durability increased if okay, if Zyra or plants are alive. Okay, so she just has Dark Lady and Summoner. Spawn plants around the battlefield that attack the nearest enemies. Each attack deals magic damage. Okay, so standard AP carry. Uh, JG Nasher, that kind of stuff. Probably won't be that strong on her own, so you might end up putting utility items on her if Summoner is like a very splashable trait, or if Thorn Maiden is good enough where you can just splash Zyra by herself as well. Kind of neat. Okay, 5 costs. Here's the flashy stuff. Um, so far the set seems pretty comprehensive, or sorry, cohesive. Um, there's definitely a lot of play going on. Um, Units seem relatively flexible, but we'll have to read traits to find out that for sure. But let's do the 5 costs and then we'll see it all together. Alloon, attuned. Your strongest Alloon cycles to a new phase of the moon after each cast. While the moon is at or below half full, your team gains durability. While above, your team gains damage amp. Okay. Lucian Senna effect. Very splashable unit already. Lunar is also kind of like a Voyager spat. This will be your. This will definitely be going on your fast night boards, or just a splash unit in general. Is Lunar active at 1? It's not, right? Yeah, it has to be 2. But you'll still splash it just for the attuned effect. This effect was really strong on just Lucian Senna for all of set 16. You were slashing it on any late game boards that you can play. Moonfall, rain moon shards, dealing damage. If the moon is full, crash it upon the board, dealing magic damage split among all enemies. Okay, that's really good. Or that's really cool. I assume you start from cycles to a new phase while the moon is at or below half. I'm assuming there are 5 phases. Like you got like a lunar moon, or sorry, you got like a crescent moon, and then like a lower. Is it gibbous? Like lower gibbous, half, and then higher gibbous, and a full moon. And then like after 5 casts, you crash the moon instead, dealing the big damage. So that's neat. Ash, 5 class Blossom. She is a hunter, so probably similar to Jin, where you have a 4 cost AP carry and then you cap out your board with a 5 cost AD carry. Spirit Rift, fire an arrow through the longest line of enemies that deal damage, reduced by percent enemies hit. Then the arrow tears open a rift for X seconds that deals physical damage per second to enemies within and slows them. Okay, just a big damage unit. Nothing crazy. Caps out a board. Draven, bounty hunter, or sorry, bounty seeker. Choose a bounty. Your strongest Draven can progress on the bounty to earn its reward. Upon completing a bounty, choose another. Okay, I assume they're gonna be like Ixtal quests, but probably more fight oriented. So it'll probably be like kill a certain amount of units, or win a certain amount of combats, or just some variations of those. Uh, you could design this in a way where it's like a small, medium, big, or you can design it in a way where it's just three different ones and you just complete whatever one is best for you. Let's read the ability. Whirling Death attacks target random enemies in a range and apply bleeds that deal X physical damage over X seconds. Every attack has a chance to deal bonus physical damage and apply bleeds instead. Okay. Throw two giant axes towards the enemy with the most bleeds, deal physical damage to all enemies hit and consume their bleed, instantly dealing the remaining damage. Okay. In 2 units. You just want to attack a bunch, and then once you get to the cast, it does like a big burst. Kind of like Vex from this set, but more damage oriented. If you hit an early Draven, I assume you can scale him out of control. So that'll be a fun unit. The Elder Dragon. This will be the cap to the Rift Beast, Apex Predator. I'm going to assume it takes 2 hexes, 2 team slots rather, and grants X to the Rift Beast trait. Okay, yeah, just Baron Nashor kind of unit just to cap off your Rift Beast trait. Makes sense. Attack deals bonus damage to enemies adjacent to the target. Become untargetable, gain Omnivamp upon returning, stun all enemies, and ignite them. Ignite enemies take physical damage. Subsequent cast spew fire at the most enemies in a line through the target. Damaging enemy below XL executes them. Okay, ability reads crazy. It seems like a really strong unit. Because there's no unlock, it definitely won't be as strong as Baron. Um, but yeah, just a huge cap off to the Rift Beast trait. You definitely just want to play a vertical just to get the execute. That seems really strong. Yeah, pretty neat unit. Gnar Elderwood Spriken Brawler. It's got a rage mechanic. Okay, gain rage per second and rage per attack. I'm assuming it's not really mana. It's just like a rage effect, and then you transform and leap into the largest group of enemies within X hexes, then dealing physical damage, reduce their armor MR, and stun them. Meganar gains health and replaces his ability with grab and throw. Okay, yeah. So yeah, Nar starts off small, and then you just become a big CC tank during the fight. Grab and throw the target. Grab it and throw at the what? Throw the target at the furthest enemy. Sorry, I'm like reading the first part of the ability and mixing it with the first sentence. Dealing damage and physical damage to enemies they pass through. If there's only one enemy lit, throw them off the battlefield instead. Okay. Um. Honestly, I don't know what items you want to put on. Or may because he's brawler, maybe you still put a melee just so you can get him to transform faster. I don't know if you can solo frontline Gnar. Maybe there's something there with like BT, Sterix, Edgenite kind of thing. I don't know. Ivern, Greenfather. We saw a preview of this during the trailer. Oops, sorry. Ivern uses seeds to grow a hex on your board that grants a bonus to its occupant. So early Ivern, you can probably just plant more seeds and just kind of fill up your board. Full unit. He's gonna be 3 hex, which is a little bit weird. Shields from this ability can critically strike with precision. I'm assuming that means they can critically become a larger shield. Riot usually kind of stays away from support units like that, but let's read the rest of the ability before we judge. Grant a shield and damage amp for seconds. Then deal magic damage to enemies adjacent to them After casting a certain number of times, grant attack speed to targets. Okay. 50 mana seems a little bit high. You won't be able to spam that too much. Um, but yeah, probably going on a fast 9 board, probably gonna be one of those units that you're hoping to hit off subservice or sorry, luxury subscription. Um, so neat overall. Don't know how good he is, but we'll see. Okay, there's a whole lot of Luxes on our screen. Um, we'll get through. We'll get to her, but we're just gonna read her ability once, and then she's gonna have a bonus for every ability. So Kennon's kind of like our next 5 cost. So Kennan is an executioner. Is 2 hex. Charge up, gain ability power per burning enemy, then gain a shield for seconds, and then rush towards a group of nearby enemies, dealing magic damage. After rushing, unleash a firestorm that hits uh, split among all enemies. Okay. Um, you don't really have to play Kennen in like a vertical inferno. Like you probably, as long as you can just apply burn to the whole board, Kennen will just be like a cap off. Um, Probably similar to like a Blitzcrank from the live set, where he's just kind of like a tertiary AP carry, where you can place AP items on him after you start capping out your board. Yeah, seems pretty good. Lux. We'll go over Avatar because that is the Lux trait. Having an avatar on the board or bench um, transforms all other avatars in your shop to the trait of that avatar. Only one person can have an avatar with a given trait. An avatar's chosen trait is counted twice for trait bonuses. Okay. So, okay, Lux is going to be a 5 cost. She's not going to be a 7 cost like she was in set 2. But she is going to still count twice towards traits, which means you can hit certain verticals um, a little bit easier. And how do you choose it? So do they all appear in the shop and then like once you choose one, you're locked into that one? How do you choose the avatar trait? I think that makes sense. But it's I'm also not too big of a fan of that design because if Lux becomes a really contested unit, then late game you're well actually no, that makes it easier for you because it takes all the other Luxes out of the board. But it means it's hard for you to hit first with Lux. And if somebody's hit first with Lux, they're really high rolling. But Lux, there's probably a bunch of late game boards that you can cap her high on. Let's read her ability. On cast, all allies that share a trait with Lux gain mana. Active, fire a laser towards the largest group of enemies that deal magic damage reduced by. Okay, so it's just final spark. And then she'll have bonuses based on the trait. So for Faye, it heals your lowest percent ally. Coven, it reduces the armor and armor of targets. Okay. Solar weakens the enemies, which reduces damage dealt. Okay. Primal, gain attack speed. Probably not very useful. Um, Eldritch, fire a laser toward. Oh, there's no passive for Eldritch. Okay. Uh, really? Sure. Okay. Blossom, the first target is dealt bonus is dealt bonus damage. That is really weirdly phrased. Okay. Inferno, restore mana. Okay, so that will probably be a very useful one, especially because she can just hit 2 Inferno by herself. Um, But you'll automatically be at minimum 3, 4, or maybe even 5 Inferno when you have Lux in, when you put Lux in, so I don't know. Elderwood, grant all allies increased max health, that seems pretty good. Lunar, apply vulnerability to enemies hit for X seconds, increase damage dealt. Okay, so, I mean, Lunar is kind of like your late game cap off anyways, so with a Loon. So yeah, maybe there's like a duo AP duo there, like Bard Sona in the current live set. Maokai, our first non-Lux. Let's read what Old Growth does. Whenever an enemy in X Hex dies, gain permanent health. Okay. Sure. Oh, is he just straight up a 5 cost tank? I mean, we didn't have one last set, so it's neat to just see the 5 cost tank return. But this is your Juggernaut cap off, so Juggernaut will definitely be going on your Fast 9 boards. After damage is blocked, Sapling jumps towards an enemy and deals magic damage. On death, Saplings jump out. And then the active deal magic damage to target and restore health. Okay, kind of boring, but the fun thing about him is probably old growth and then like the saplings, like this passive part. But that'll be neat. Maokai will definitely be a unit that you have to see in practice to see what he does. Tarek, our final 5 costs, which brings our total to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 5 costs. That sounds about right. I think that's how many there usually are. Emerald aspect. I'm gonna assume it's a CC thing. Oh no, okay. It's not like Emerald Veil. Like it was like there was an augment and then there was also a trait that just made you like CC immune. Anyways, Emerald aspect drag an ally onto your strongest Taric to pair them, granting them bonus powerful bonuses from Taric's ability. Okay, also definitely a fast 9 unit. Uh, Probably a Vanguard variation and a Juggernaut variation with Maokai. That'll be nice. The 4 cost Juggernaut was. I already forgot. Who is it? A Moo. Right. It was the first one I read. Uh, yeah. That's a Moo very splashable as well with Inferno. And then the 4 cost Vanguard was the blue buff. So that'll be your CC variation. Yeah, that makes sense for those to be like your fast 9 tanks as well. Okay, the first time Tarek or his ally drops below health, unleash damage from them, granting a shield to allies within X hexes. Okay. And then restore health. Tarek and his pair deal bonus magic damage on their next attacks. I'm assuming you just want to pair it with frontline, just with your secondary tank, which in this case would be the blue buff. And then you don't really care about the bonus magic damage. But yeah, that's it for all the units. Let's move on to the traits. So I already read Attuned and Avatar and like all the solo traits. So this will be going a lot faster than it seems. So our first trait will be Blossom. After combat, your Whisper empowered. Um, Blossom champion gain attack damage, ability power, and max health. Oh, that's just like the trait part. So it's just stats, and then your Whisper buffed. Whisper in every shop, but you can only have one per combat, so you can't. Yeah, you can only have 1 per combat, so you get a better choice, but you don't necessarily get a better you don't necessarily, like, scale out of control. And then gain gold after buying a wisp. So you can hit 3 pretty easily. You have, Karma, Yorick, Yunara. Yeah, pretty, standard stuff. This will probably be your vertical. Your I don't know if you'll be playing 5 or not. The 5 doesn't seem very good. Uh, moving on, let's go to Coven. Gather essence by killing champions, plus more by losing player combat. So just your standard blue streak trait. It's scaling 3, 4, 5, which is very important because you can hit 4 very early. They're all Elise is a front line, and then yeah, you're probably not staying at 5 for very long. I'm still trying to figure out why they gave Morgana Omnivamp. Yeah, I don't know what to say about it. Uh, gather essence though. They don't scale off essence or anything, right? I'm assuming it is just a cash out, but it doesn't mention the cash out part. Okay. Like usually there's like a line that says like cash out based on the number of essence that you gained. Okay, strange. I don't know what to think of Coven. We'll have to see. I don't know if the tooltip is just very small or if there's more to that trait. But I'm assuming it's the loose streak trait. There's always a loose streak trait. The player base loves loose streak traits. Yeah. Elderwood. Gain placeable Elderwood plants. Gain a tree and a life bloom. So this is our summon trait. A second tree and a deepwood protector. I'm assuming the deepwood protector is your actual like fighting unit. Maybe a life bloom is also a fighting unit. I don't know what it is. But the stonebark tree that just sounds like a training dummy, right? But it'd be kind of weird for you to gain 2 units. I don't know. Maybe it's all 1 unit. It'd be really weird for a 3 trait to grant you 2 units. I think that'd be ridiculous. But we'll have to see. Don't know what Elderwood will entail. Eldritch champions gain additional stats based on the sacrifices, role, start level, and cost. Oh, I'm assuming it's Coven slash Mech, where you sack a unit. I guess Mech you didn't sack a unit. But yeah, this tooltip's really short. This is weird to see. You just gain HP, and then 4 you gain HP bonus if bonus is X times stronger, and then the sacrifice doesn't die. It also gains damage. Just AD. Nope. Eldritch is a weird trait. I don't get it. It's just gaining HP. Uh, it's like anti synergy early because it's a 2 trait, so you don't really want to play Vagar plus Rek'Sai early on, even though you think you'd want to. Like this plus another brawler, you'd have to hope Rek'Sai is just like a really big Giga Tank early. Weird. I don't know how much I like it. Um, I've never been a big fan of these sacrifice traits, but we'll see. Um, I think Azir is really cool. I'm always a fan of this Azir, so I do want to play that. But I don't know how much I'll like the Eldritch trait. Emerald Aspect we read, and then Fey. Each pixie grants Fey attack damage and ability power, and after they fall below X HP, they heal for each pixie. How do I gain pixies? After attracting 7 pixies, start attracting golden pixies, which instead grant gold. Okay, so that's kind of Priz trait because there's. Well, you just need a spat plus locks. But sure. I don't know. I don't know how you gain pixies. Are all these tooltips just really short for some reason? Are they being cut off? Am I missing something? How come I just don't know what this does? Fatalis, we read this. Inferno, this is the burn trait. Inferno burns stack with other burns. Okay, so that's actually very important. So you can build an early Sunfire, you won't be punished for it. You can build early Morello. It's fine. Just make sure you play Inferno as well. Or you can just play Inferno on its own. But yeah, melee units, it'll be very hard to play with this. Oh, it's just burn, not wound. So the wound part won't stack, but you can stack burn damage. So it probably still isn't very good. You probably still just want to build one burn or Inferno. You don't want to have both. But you burn, and then after combat, your shop slots without an Inferno champion ignite, rolling a champion 1 tier higher. Okay, interesting. Um, you know what? This is gonna happen on the TFT Clips channel. You guys can quote me on it right now, but it's gonna happen. Somebody's gonna get 3 Inferno in, and then on level 5, they're gonna roll the 2%. It's gonna be a 5 cost. It's gonna be a 4 cost, and then it turns into a 5 cost, and then somebody just has Ivern on 2/5. Somebody just has Draven on 2/5. It's gonna happen. There's gonna be a TFT clips video of it, and you guys are gonna come back here and you're gonna be like, wow, who put this in the game? But yeah, that'll be fun. Inferno, just a good trait. Seems good to me. Lunar, we kind of went over this earlier. It's kind of like a Voyager spat kind of thing. Seems good. Just want to place it on backline because it is just straight up damage, attack speed, AP. No shielding or health this time around. Monolith, this was the Malphite trait that we read earlier. Old Growth, Primal, which we don't really know what it does. Rift Beast, which seems like our strong vertical of the set. Use an Alpha Mark to grant the Rift Beast their unique buff, so we know that. Every X combat, your next shop is overrun with Rift Beasts. Okay, I assume it just means your next shop contains all Rift Beasts, which maybe there's like some reroll lines. It seems relatively okay to hit 5 early. There are a lot of units. And then 7 on combat start in every 5 seconds, Rift Beasts just gain a ton of stats. And then on 10, you gain, I'm assuming 1 maximum team size, just so you can actually play 10. But yeah, this is just our big vertical trait. I don't think the units will be too interesting this time. It'll probably be similar to Space Groove, where all the units are just played as part of the vertical and then not really splashed elsewhere. 3 might be interesting, but probably not that much. We'll see. There might be something with 3, and then you play Ravager as a carry, but I'm assuming Ravager will just be as part of the like a 7 board. Rival, we went over this with Rengar and Kha'Zix. Solar, kind of went over this with the reroll, but yeah, they're all low cost units, and you just reroll them. Spriken, gain the big furry friend. Oh, okay, this is our summon trait. I guess Elderwood is probably just 2 training dummies then. A Stonebark tree and a Life Bloom. I don't know. Spriken, gain a big furry friend, drop a Spriken on the BFF to pick its rider. The rider gains HP and attack speed, gains HP attack speed, and the BFF's ability applies to your team. Okay, so this is our summon trait. You'll probably be splashing Vagar early on in with a nope with Eldritch. I guess that's part of the point. You're supposed to have the Sprikins so you can play Brawler and then you can have both. You can still like maintain the same number of units. Uh, yeah, they seem okay. I don't know. I think these units will be relatively splashable, but they're all low cost units. I don't think you're just going for the big vertical. There might be a reroll line that I was thinking of, like 5 Spriken with Rammus and Tristana as your main tank and carry. Could be something there, could not be. I don't know. Thorn Maiden, this is basically Dark Lady. Adapter, this is basically Riven from the live set. These units are kind of interesting. They do kind of lean towards one or the other. So Kog'Maw and Gromp, I believe, both lean AP. Sorry, Kog'Maw leans AD, and then Gromp leans AP. But Kog'Maw seems like he can lean either way. Uh, Master Yi will be the interesting unit of this trait. And then Nidalee, well, Akali is a 1 cost, so there's probably nothing there. But Nidalee remains to be seen. Apex Predator, this is the Elder Dragon. Brawler, just gain HP. Some sets they gain attack damage as well. Seems like this set, it's just going to be straight up tank trait, and that's fine. Defender, straight up tank trait, armor MR. Executioner, just the usual executioner stuff. Gain precision and critical chance. On 3, they can bleed for bonus true damage, so that's pretty interesting. And then 4, the bleeds increase. You're probably never playing 4. I'm assuming you're just capping out with Ezreal, Soraka, Kennen, and I'll just be kind of like a late game board you can play with a like a small executioner package. Seems pretty good. Greenfather we went over with Ivern. Hunter we went over with Caitlyn. But if you forget, they gain attack damage, and if a hunter hasn't swapped targets for X seconds, they gain damage amp. Kind of neat. Invoker, just mana regen, same thing it usually is. Juggernaut, durability, same thing it usually is. Rapid fire attack speed, same thing it usually is. Ravager, I think this is the first time we've seen this name for this trait, but it is just like the Slayer slash Warrior slash whatever they name this trait. It's the Omni Vamp trait, it's the melee trait. Um, they deal bonus damage doubled against units below X% health. Okay, neat. Probably not playing too high of a vertical of it. Marauder, that's the other one I was thinking of. Um, yeah, you're probably not playing too high of a vertical. I assume this trait, uh, you're playing 4 at most, depending on how big the numbers are. Spellweaver, your team gains ability power. Spellweavers gain more, and then gain whenever another Spellweaver casts. Usually this trade's not very good because they don't have frontline. Casio, I guess Fiddle's your frontline. But yeah, you're playing 4 at most. If you ever play 6, it's never good. I'm gonna assume you're just gonna end up playing 2. Summoner. Summoners empower their summons in different ways. Yorick grants them HP, Azir grants them damage, Raptor multiplies their damage, and then Zyra summons more, or sorry, adds extra plant attacks. Uh, Empower the summons. Probably not playing too high of a vertical for this trade either. It only goes to 3. There are 4 units. Whatever your board may be, it will definitely include Zyra. And then, uh, let's say you're playing something with Rift Beast. You're probably just or sorry. Let's say you're playing Raptor. You're probably just playing some Rift Beast board. If you're playing Azir, I don't know. I don't really know what you can cook up with that board. And then Yorick, just a vertical Blossom board. Seems reasonable. Finally, Vanguard. This is the same thing it usually is. Just gain shield, and then you gain. Doesn't grant durability. Only on the 6 train it grants durability this time. So it just grants them a shield, and then grants them a second shield. And that's it for all the traits. I won't go over all the wisps. There's gonna be a lot of them, and you probably won't even see all of them. And then, of course, all the new augments. I don't know what's removed and what's added. There's probably some hero augments here that are worth reading. Here's Chosen of the Sun. Yeah, so this one literally just says play solar. You know, early learnings is still here. You can just play solar. Priz traits. Let's just choose a random one to read. What's a new Priz trait? Retribution, verticality for each ally that shares a trait. Okay, yeah, just a vertical one. New tactician, the Chibi Salaryman Aatrox. This is pretty funny. Slams his keyboard. Chibi Soul Fighter Jinx, very beautiful art. And then Spirit Blossoms Aphelios Unbound. Neat. I didn't even know this was a skin. Coven LeBlanc Unbound. Okay, we've seen that one in the past. New Pengus. These are really beautiful. A birthday Pengu, I assume. Uh, we already have the Puffin, right? These are just new Puffin skins. That's pretty neat. The new sprite, lovely. I love all the sprites. And that's it. That's everything that's in set 18 Enchanted Wilds. Tell me what you guys think of the set. Nothing stands out too much to me so far. I'm gonna be excited to be playing some of the older or some units from that have similarities to older traits. Like Ezreal will be fun. Kale just to play like a little bit of reroll, and then seeing what works and what doesn't for Fast 9. Fast 9's a little bit weaker in a charm set because you will have to use econ to be buying charms throughout stage 4, and that delays your Fast 9. But we'll see. I'm excited for the set. And I will catch you guys for PBE when it comes out on July 28th. All right. Thank you guys for watching.